I want to thank all of you for joining us today. My name is Neil McNamara. I run Grimco's Demo Center. I'm based out of Chicago. And today we're going to talk about the Epson G6070. So this is the newest direct-to-film printer from Epson to solve the direct-to-film production methods. I'm joined today with Paul Morales from Epson, who's out in beautiful sunny California. And as well on the line here, two of our screen specialists, so our decorated apparel, digital print specialists. So as we're going through this webinar presentation live on camera, the reason you folks tune into these webinars, feel free to ask those questions. You got two of the industry experts on camera here, as well as two of them behind the keyboard to answer any questions. Without any further ado, Paul and I are going to launch through and tell you about the amazing features, functionality of the new Epson G6070. Paul, you want to take a second and introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a product manager for our textile products, so sublimation, direct-to-garment, and of course, direct-to-film and all things related to it.
And whereabouts in California are you located, Paul?
We're in Los Alamitos, which is about maybe 15, 20 miles south of Los Angeles, for reference.
All right, awesome.
Yeah.
And you guys have an amazing showroom out there that Epson put together, where they have all of the product solutions that we need from the signage market to the apparel market. And your niche today here is the direct-to-film printers. So Paul, tell us about this direct-to-film printer. A lot of buzz on this machine. I feel like Epson teased it to the market really well, and everyone was kind of waiting with bated breath for Epson to launch into a direct-to-film printer. So what's the meat and potatoes? What do we got going on here?
Yeah, absolutely. So for starters, first and foremost, we wanted to make sure that our design was very easy for somebody to use. So very low learning curve, easy for novice users, but as well as intermediate and advanced production users to use. Touchscreen control panel. One of the things I really like about this, what makes it easy, is it's actually a front load machine. So I can put this right up against a wall. Once I plug it in, I don't ever have to go behind the printer again. I can do everything right from the front. So it makes it easy from a footprint and space-saving design. On the control panel, any process or feature that I go through is actually self-guided. So you have a how-to option that you can press on there, and it will take you through right out of the user guide exactly what to do. So whether that's cleaning around the printhead, cleaning the suction cap, changing any of the consumables, you can see all of that right on your screen without having to look up a guide or go online or anything like that. But of course, for any more advanced stuff, there's some resources that you guys have as well. Now, in terms of the ink, we could talk about the ink really quick, and I'll give you a little close-up shot so that you guys can see. So one of the things we wanted to make sure of was we had sealed and degassed ink packs, and these actually have a 2-year shelf life, and they're very easy to change. So I can use my reusable tray right here. I simply pop my new ink pack on. The cool part is the chip for the ink pack is already attached to the ink pack. So that helps keep track of the ink levels on there. And then that's it. I put it back in there. Daily maintenance, what I just did right there, taking that ink pack and giving it a little shake, that's the extent of your daily maintenance.
Paul, so to kind of clarify or maybe make a point of it, the sealed ink packs, the ease of use of the machine, ultimately what Epson wanted to deliver with this machine was a tried and true proven technology in this direct-to-film space, something that's easy for people to get into this. Direct-to-film has been kind of a skyrocket of a product launch in the last, how would you say, 5 to 7 years?
Exactly, yeah.
Direct-to-film's kind of cornered the market, and Epson never had a dedicated direct-to-film printer before. Over my shoulder, you can kind of see a couple of them back there, are the Epson direct-to-garment printers. So that allows me to print directly to a t-shirt. The direct-to-film process, what does that solve as a decorated apparel production shop? What does direct-to-film allow me to do that I maybe can't achieve with the direct-to-garment, or what are the other options available with direct-to-film printing?
Yeah, that's a really great question. The beauty of direct-to-film is it's fabric-agnostic, so it does not matter if you're on cotton, if you're on polyester, 100%, tri-blends, 50-50, everything in between, even on textile items like silk and leather, for example. So it really opens up quite a bit of possibilities. And furthermore, any troublesome items that might be difficult to load directly on a direct-to-garment printer, like a hat or a shoe, for example, a simple transfer can be made and you can still produce items onto those textile materials. And I think maybe one of the coolest parts about this is users can actually sell their transfers to their customers, and their customers can transfer it on with a household iron at home. So it really expands the possibilities of what can be done with this technology.
And we're not replacing direct to garment as an option. It's just an addition or a supplementation, a different way of handling that transfer to give you that versatility, maybe a different workflow scenario. Because direct to garment has its mutual benefits as well, maybe a softer hand feel, vibrant colors, things like that. But it requires a preparation of the substrate, pre-treating or a priming of that substrate, being a flat printable surface, whereas direct to film transfers, like you're saying, I can use a wider variety of things to stick onto or decorate apparel onto, but then where the decoration happens. I can produce a whole bunch of samples ahead of time. Grimco has a ton of great logos. I can mass produce those, but then I can wait for that order to come through before I actually put it on a fabric. A red shirt versus a green shirt versus a blue shirt. I don't need to carry that inventory until that purchase happens. So that print on demand process with direct to film printing, I can prepare the graphics ahead of time, have them ready to go, and then finish that order, press that process down. So the general workflow for direct to film printing is printing on your film, and then you guys can see my overhead camera. Hopefully everybody has it up over there. It's going through a shaker where it's applying a TPU powder, and then the shaker has a little bit of a beater brush. Maybe I can get down here closer with my microphone. The beater brush is knocking off the excess amount of powder, and then that film transfer process is heading through my curing module. So I have the Miro 36 paired up with my Epson G6070, which is a great combo, mostly because they made it white, and so aesthetically it matches the printer really well. But for a bunch of other factors, the Miro 36 is a great combo with this machine. And then that finished product is coming out of my end, winding up on a take-up reel, where I can then post-process, cut all my prints, my samples down, ready to go until those orders come through. So that's the full DTF process. And the pairing coming from an Epson printer really brings with it a whole bunch of things we don't get from other manufacturers out there in the market. The first of which is the Printhead technology. So Paul, do you want to talk a little bit about the PrecisionCore micro piezo printheads on these machines?
Absolutely. So in this industry, a lot of people are already familiar with the Epson i3200 printhead. Cool part about being at Epson is we kind of save the best technology for our devices. And what sets apart our PrecisionCore printhead from anything else out there is we have what's called nozzle verification technology. So in real time, the printer is going to detect if there are any clogged nozzles, and it can perform corrective action, whether that be an automated cleaning that doesn't need to be initiated by the user, or a message to indicate for the user to clean. You can also specify to have it clean between jobs. So you have a lot of control and options right there. But of course, if you don't do anything at all, you can leave it on the auto clean function and it will take care of itself. So the end result for that is nonstop continuous operation with minimal user intervention. And you can confidently print and expect the results that your customers need based on those auto features.
So Paul, if I understood you correctly, the way that nozzle verification technology is working, if there was clogged nozzles in my printer right now, this machine's been running for about an hour now. We're trying to mass produce a bunch of samples because everybody who's on this call today, we're going to send a nice little sample pack out to. But if my nozzle's clogged up, the machine would auto recognize that and launch into a cleaning. And so that allows me to run unattended printing, essentially.
Exactly right.
I don't need to babysit my machine constantly while it's running. I'm in a busy print shop. I'm off doing other things. I'm making sales calls. I'm getting those orders in the door. I'm not sitting here watching paint dry while my machine is printing. I have full confidence that nozzle verification in that Epson printhead technology is going to give me a great finished result.
Absolutely right. And a couple other things that we do. And we're going to go to a close-up shot and we're going to do one of my favorite things, which is pop open some covers and take a look at what we have going on here. So what I'm going to do is actually open the maintenance cover on the right-hand side. And then we're going to go to our camera one close-up so that we can take a look inside and see what actually helps make all of this happen. So we can pop open our cover right here. And we can see in the back, we have multiple components. So right here where I'm pointing, this is our anti-dry cap top. This is actually separate from the suction cap that I'm pointing at right here. So we have two different cap tops. That is really important from an auto maintenance and functionality standpoint. When we're not printing, the printhead is resting on the anti-dry cap top, which as its name implies, is going to prevent drying, clogging of nozzles. But when we're actually cleaning, we're using the suction cap here. There's actually a little tube, that maintenance liquid pack that you install in the machine. We'll reverse fill this suction cap and do the cleaning for you. And that's really important because that prevents any clogging of the suction cap. So imagine one cap top trying to do both processes. It's going to have a difficult time. And so that's why we separated it. In addition to that, we have a flushing pad right here. And then behind here, and I'm going to show you an extra one, we have a tried and true fabric wiper, which is a simple cassette that's really easy to replace. So every time the machine is performing a cleaning and the print head is getting wiped, it's not using a rubber wiper blade that will just kind of push ink around and have to be replaced often. It's actually using a lint-free fabric that wipes the entire surface area of the print head, including the areas outside of where the nozzles actually jet out ink. So all of this translates to maximum uptime and minimal downtime.
Well, and you said it right on the nose there, that the tried and true method. Those parts inside this printer are not new. They're not, you didn't invent them for this machine. They're proven technologies that Epson uses in all their other machines. The ink chemistry in this machine may be slightly different than what exists on other ones, but isn't that the same suction cap wiper system that we find in some of the other F series printers from Epson?
That's exactly right. So you'll find a lot of similarities with the F2270, including the white ink circulation system that's built in. So one of the cool aspects of that is, and I'm going to take the ink pack out again, is that white ink filtration actually starts right here. So in my ink pack, I have a filter that's built in that helps filter anything out and prevent it from clogging even before it gets into the ink lines. But once that ink is in the ink lines, well, you're probably wondering, well, how do we mix it? I can shake my white ink pack, but then what happens beyond that? Well, we have a white ink circulation. So think of that white ink tube splitting into two and then coming back together. This circulates the white ink, essentially mixing it up before it gets to the dampers and the print head. So the best part about that is it actually doesn't consume any ink when it's performing that white ink circulation. And all of this happens automatically. That white ink circulation does not have to be initiated by the user. So again, that goes to the auto maintenance and self-cleaning functionality to make sure that it's ready when you need it.
And I'm willing to bet on this call, there's several folks that have had experience with whether a direct-to-garment or direct-to-film printer, and the white ink is always the bane of the existence. It's always the most challenging process in there. White pigment is crushed titanium dioxide. It's a heavier particle, heavier sediment. It needs constant suspension to stay on that carrier fluid so it gets jetted out without clogging your print head. So Paul, I guess now would be a good time. I'd love to talk about the service, the warranty from Epson, because again, this is one of those things that sets the G6070 not just slightly above its competitors, but literally night and day above what the competitors can offer. This machine was created by Epson, Epson printhead technology, Epson ink formulation, that vertical integration that Epson always brings to all their printers. What type of service guarantee or performance warranty does this machine come with?
The beauty of Epson is we design and build 100% of what goes into the product. So we have full control over that functionality. And with that, we offer a 1-year limited warranty that comes with the machine that covers 100% of the components in the machine, including the print heads, parts, travel fee, a technician. If you call before 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can generally get a technician out the very next day or within 48 hours. But the really cool part about that is you can extend your service coverage for up to a total of 5 years, and you can get that right out of the gate. So you get that same coverage that you would on warranty, and you extend it with an extended service plan, and that still covers 100% of what's in the machine, including the print heads. And the best part about that is the cost annually is less than the cost of one print head, but it actually covers the entire machine. And the reason why we offer this is it helps us speak volumes on the confidence that we have in this product, that it will do well for any user in any situation.
I mean, from the Grimco perspective, we really love that too. Epson is a manufacturer that stands behind their product and knows what it can do and offer that extended peace of mind, reassurance. You want a printer that works for you. You don't want to have to work on a printer as a print production shop. You want that reliability, that consistency to know when you agree to your customer, yeah, I'll have those shirts ready for you 2 o'clock on Thursday afternoon. you can deliver those shirts at 2 o'clock Thursday afternoon because you know your printer is going to work. And ultimately, that's the part that we love best about the Epson package, that vertical integration of printhead design, technology, nozzle verification, all the amazing stuff that happens under the hood with that ink chemistry gives you a very, very reliable printer. So Paul, in the box, what else the software that's going to drive this thing? Anytime I'm having discussions with customers, that's always the question is, hey, how do I make all this magic happen? Get these prints to run continuously on my machine. What's the software configuration look like on here?
Right in the box, we include a full license of Fiery's digital factory software, one of the most widely used softwares in the DTF and DTG industry. And it's the DTF edition for Epson. The cool part about this is with our Epson dashboard integration, we have profiles completed for a lot of the popular films on the market today. And so right from day one, somebody can install their equipment, get the software going, and have usable profiles to produce sellable output right away, starting with your very first print. And all of that syncs together with the cloud, so it makes it really, really simple and effective. But the other cool part about Digital Factory is there's a lot of additional tools like a gang sheet wizard and auto nesting functionality to really streamline your production workflow. You can also integrate cutters if you need to.
I was actually just having a discussion earlier this week with my friends at Summa. We had an event we hosted down there on Tuesday, and the next part of this process is cutting apart these prints. The ability to be able to take it and go to a output cutting device. So it's great. It's automated. I ran hundreds and thousands of prints here. I then need to slice and dice, and so that next step in the process could be, if you have that production demand, that production workflow, is taken into a digital cutter. Summa S3 TC, the tangential knife with the camera controller, allows me to process digital film quickly, accurately, full roll production with a take-up reel, as well as a catch basket, things that allow me to do that hands-off processing. So as your workflow increases, great place to get into the market, but then as you grow with the machine, there's options to keep expanding beyond there. So really kind of neat. Paul, I wanted to take another quick second to talk about the, not quite a software solution, but it is a software solution, the PORT Cloud solution. So what is PORT Cloud and how does it work, and what does it do for the end user?
Absolutely. So our Epson Cloud Solution PORT is a cloud-based online monitoring system. So any Epson printer that you have on your network, you can monitor in real time. And the great part about that is it's directly on either your phone, tablet, or web browser. So you can actually monitor your different ink levels, your consumable levels, and your actual production. But the cool part about that is you can export detailed reports of your actual print production. It also coincides with our extended service plans. So if you have an issue and you need to call us for service, let's say you got an error code on your machine and you weren't able to capture that error code or information in time. Well, on our end, we can actually see what that entails. So if a technician needs to be sent out, they can be fully prepared with the appropriate parts to address your issue with the goal of one call, fix the problem. And all of this is monitored directly on, like I said, a phone app or on the web browser. And you can monitor this from anywhere. So somebody that has multiple locations or printers in different cities, states, or even countries, you can link it all up to your same port account, and then you can monitor everything together.
The Cloud Solution PORT, it's maybe 3-4 years old now. Maybe it's been in development longer than that.
It seems like been around, about that time.
Okay, It seems like every time I log on there to do something, I always find some new widget or new add-on. It makes the user interface slightly different and giving you guys that valuable insight that you need as a production shop to kind of stand back, analyze, see what's going on with things. It lets you see all of your Epson products kind of in one easy to understand dashboard and take some actionable steps to improve your production workflow. It's really kind of neat to see. Before we run out of time, I want to leave some time here at the end for some questions and answers. I've seen it come up a couple times. You guys have questions, head over to grimco.com, check out the spec sheets for pricing, everything else, the inks, consumables. But I wanted to take a minute to point out a resource that we have available from grimco.com for the Epson G6070, as well as all the equipment that Grimco sells. We have what's called an equipment support hub. So it can be found here under our equipment and equipment support hub, or if you scroll all the way to the bottom of our website, it's down here as well under equipment support. But here's where we have easy to find articles, videos for all the equipment that we sell. And so really like the one that we've put together here on the Epson G6070. So all the Epson products, but then quick and easy to find, the common questions, the common, how do I do this? How do I do that? A lot of these videos were produced by Paul himself, and we just republished it here in a nice, easy to find place. What's the Print Academy? What's the link you guys call your playlist for these, Paul?
Print Academy, exactly.
Okay. Yep. So these are republished Epson videos. I have a couple different, I shot a quick little video on how to download and your media profiles on here. We have a nice little maintenance schedule. So easy to understand all the resources you could need to find these, to use your machine. The one thing I did the other day on here was our consumables. So you want to find out what your inks cost, where your maintenance cartridge costs. We created a My Favorites list that allows you to not only find the right parts for your machine, but then quick and easy to make ordering from Grimco.com. So all of your films, all your powders, all of your inks, the maintenance cartridge, nice, easy way of finding that link. So all of that can be found, again, from our equipment support hub, as well as a way to get in touch with one of our technicians. So if you have a question, an issue with your machine, you need help getting back in action, Grimco is there to support you and make it all happen. Any questions come through while we're chatting back and forth here?
One that I wanted to start with, for the printer and the shaker dryer, do we want to have those on dedicated circuits, or can they be plugged in together?
That's a good question. We didn't really talk about the size and specs and things like that with the machine. One of the beauties of the Miro 36 as well as the G6070, it can fit through standard doorways and requires standard electrical outlets. I would recommend putting them on separate circuits, depending on what your amperage draw is. But it's standard household appliance power. It's nothing crazy, no 220 power or anything like that. Standard 110 power for both the units. But yeah, separate circuits splitting and it's mostly the dryer. The printer barely sips electricity.
Now I just got another one in. So this machine, in terms of PMS color matching, Paul, do you want to talk about some of the profiling?
Yeah, absolutely. So we touched on it a little bit earlier, in the ability to sync print modes directly into the software. Another feature that's available in Digital Factory is the ability to spot color match, to attach a spectrophotometer or scanning device. You can register a lab value of your color and then directly import it into your print file. And that's one of the things that our SD-10 spectrophotometer device adds value to this equipment. The cool part about that too is you have a corresponding spectrophotometer app that goes along with your device. It's all completely Bluetooth. So I don't even need to be at my printer to scan a color and check in real time on my phone, is this within my printer's color gamut? So if I'm at a production shop or facility and somebody is asking me, can you print this red for me? I can scan it and tell them right on the spot, yes, I can, or hey, I can do this color. It will also show you similar colors that can be produced. So it makes it real convenient. It looks like Neil's got that up on the screen right there. Yeah.
Paul, I use this thing on a daily basis. The Epson SD-10, the spectrophotometer, handheld, great. It's good for spot checks on press, spot checks thrown to a match print. But yeah, the bells and whistles are there to make that color management happen with the Epson products. The beauty of color management, for those of you on this call that have never had to deal with a picky client with color, the best way to manage color is to not have to manage color. You start with a phenomenal output device, your color's going to look great. They're never going to question you. But you are in that scenario where you have a very demanding client that wants a branded color to match. Epson has the tools, the ability to match those colors, not only with the device, but with the software, as well as kind of software peripherals like that Epson SD-10. The quicker you can get to color management, the quicker you're making money printing those jobs.
We've had a couple questions come through on what the recommended environment is going to be for the printer itself. Humidity, temperature, things of that sort. Can you just kind of touch on that?
Absolutely. So it actually covers a pretty broad spectrum in terms of temperature and humidity. You can go as up to 70, 80% humidity, as low as 20%. The spec is about 30 to 60, but we actually test our equipment in environmental chamber under all sorts of different conditions. The easy take on this is if the environment is comfortable for the operator to work in, the machine is going to function very smoothly and efficiently.
Yeah, that's the best way to say it. If you're comfortable in that operation, so will be the machine. Obviously you don't want to have it out in a warehouse environment where debris and dust are in there. But if you're in that situation, just may require a little more additional maintenance, keep things clean and operating well.
One of the added bonuses too is because our ink packs have a 2-year shelf life and they're sealed and degassed, it completely prevents them from being exposed to oxygen or oxidation or anything that might contaminate the ink. So regardless of what the environment is, those are sealed and degassed and installed right in. There's no open bottles of pouring ink or anything like that. So it really helps factor that in, especially for larger industrial shops that may have their printing equipment out with their heat presses and embroidery equipment and other auxiliary equipment too.
I hear that from customers all the time that are looking into using non-OEM inks. Like, oh, I could save X amount of pennies per milliliter if I go with this non-OEM. Stick with the Epson OEM ink. It was formulated to run through this machine. You're going to not only get the best color possible for this machine, you're going to get consistent color for the machine. And the machine's going to work the best. And so, yeah, the Epson system is incredible the way it's a sealed cartridge unit. There's more than just color going through these print heads. And Paul, we didn't even talk about it. We were talking about ink. I forgot about it. We didn't talk about the ink itself and its certifications. So there's a certification of Oecotex. What does that entail? What does Oecotex certification mean?
So we go off the Oecotex Eco Passport certification, which is the global standard. And essentially what that's testing for is chemicals, dyes, colorants, anything that's harmful to the environment or is not sustainable. So having the Eco Passport certification certifies that there's nothing of that nature in that ink. But in addition to that, we also are CPSIA compliant. And what that boils down to is any garment that you make with our ink, it's safe to be worn even by children. So a completely safe standard as well as a sustainable ink. And that's the other nice part about having this in the ink pack versus a cartridge. It's much less environmental waste and it goes towards our initiative and our goal of being carbon negative by 2050.
Phenomenal. Thanks for clarifying that. We throw the terms out there a lot, the CPS, CSPI, and the Oecotex. It's good to understand it. So the Ecotex is more of a global, nothing harmful during the production of this ink. And then the CSPI is more like it's going on a baby shirt and they're putting it in their mouth. It's safe for consumers.
For the setup, once it's shipped in, what kind of assembly goes into the printer with the base? Kind of walk us through what they should expect.
Yeah, very easy machine to set up. It's put the stand together, put it on top of the stand, and you're ready to go as far as the printer is. The ink up process takes 20 minutes or so. And then likewise with the Miro 36, it's pull it out of the crate, roll it in position, and then you're ready to go. Yeah, the setup is probably a half hour, 45 minutes all total. And likewise too, Grimco offers our technical experts who can show up on site if you get your unit. We can walk you through that initial installation, getting it all set up and rock and roll, as well as in the future. You get your machine, you have a question, how do I do such and such, software related, hardware related, we're there to support you through that process. Well, great. I want to thank you guys all for attending today. We love putting on these webinar presentations. We kind of take a 30,000 foot view of the printer, but you get the industry experts here as well as the chance to ask questions for the industry experts behind the keyboard. So Jonathan, thank you so much for joining me. Paul, thank you again as well. Thank you guys all for taking time out of your day to hear about the direct-to-film solution that Epson offers with the new G6070. If you have more questions, please don't hesitate. Grimco.com, we have all the spec sheets and pricing available there, but we're always just a phone call away. If you give us a call, 1-800-542-9941. Somebody is there, happy to answer your questions. So anything we can do for you, please let us know. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me today. This is phenomenal.
Thanks for having me, Neil.
All right. We'll see y'all later.
Thanks a lot, guys.